What's going on, brothers and sisters? I want to talk about that cop in Oklahoma that raped, I believe, 13 sisters, I believe. This guy is a monster. It's sick. The whole situation is sickening. The fact that somebody can do this and get away with it for as long as he was doing it. Now, I guess the story with this cat is that he will go to bad income neighborhoods where there will be, a lot of poor Afro-Americans, probably living from paycheck to paycheck. This guy will take advantage of that because he probably knows a lot of these sisters have records. So he uses that against them. He knows they're not going to go to the cops, which is sickening, very sickening. This video is not going to be that long. I just wanted to get my take on it. I believe we need to get our own communities. I believe we need to start transitioning ourselves into segregation. I believe we need to start arming ourselves for protection. Those that still love their people. Obviously, this is not for the chocolate milkers. They can do whatever they want. This is for the ones that love their people and want to be around their people. We need to start finding solutions and ways to police ourselves and stop getting these crackers involved in our shit. These white cops' sole purpose is to exterminate us, to kill us. I'm going to play a clip of one of the witnesses. I want y'all to watch that, and then I'm going to get right back at you.
I just want to say, on the night that I was stopped, I didn't expect for none of that to happen. And when he approached the car, I didn't know what was gonna happen next, because me and some others was just sitting in the car, and they just came and approached the car, and it went from there. And once he did the arrest, I was took into a hospital on the whole opposite side of town, which I didn't think nothing of it at the time. And once I got there, they took off my clothes and handcuffed me to the bed and took me to a room, and no nurses, nobody came to check on me. And surely he just started to manipulate me. And
take your time.
Me being in a room with the police, not expecting to get violated the way I did, the way I was done, I just couldn't even believe it. I was speechless. I was scared. When everything was going down, I felt I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I felt like I was in survival mode, so I had to do what he was making me do. So
That's fine. Thank you.
Correct. That's why I came forward, because I felt like I was violated. I was certain that other women had also been violated. So I came forward. I had the strength and courage to do so, because I didn't want to see this happen to no one else. No way, no how. So I came forward. I had an interview on Channel 9 to make sure I was heard, so this matter could no longer happen to nobody else.
What you tell about your daughters? What you tell me about your daughters and them standing with you? You feel up to that? No, that's fine. Okay.
You say tell them about my daughters?
Yeah. Her daughters also part of the heroic
yes.
effort too. They were.
Yes, my daughters have been by my side. I was headed to Marissa's house that morning when I was stopped. And when I got there, she jumped out of bed and grabbed her kids. She called the police station. She didn't get no answer. So we went down there, and she made sure the matter was taken care of. Also, my other daughter, they've been by my side since day one.
Did you ever consider not reporting this like some of the other
Not even close. As soon as it happened, I immediately went to the police.
Okay.
Were you concerned when the jury was taking so long?
Yeah.
No, not at all. Without a doubt. He know what he did and he know what happened.
Were you concerned that the jury wouldn't see it that way?
You want to say something?
Again, no, because I know what he did to me and he know what he did, so I was not concerned. I just wasn't.
And I'll let Sade answer that question as well.
Okay.
Were you concerned when the jury was taking so long that he might be acquitted?
I was, after so long, my faith in this situation had been strong from day one because I feel like we all know what's done in the dark will come out to the light. So for this whole situation to come about, I found out about it on Facebook on a news clipping, and I told my mama, I'm like, Mama, this is him. She had already knew about what I had already told her, so it was just a shock to me that he finally had got caught. My situation happened 2013 in December, and so by the summertime, July, is when I seen the clip about him had got caught, and then, we went about it, going to the detectives finally, because I still can't believe that he's there, because I wouldn't think an officer would jeopardize his job like that. Like, he was reckless with everything, and for him to just be so, like, I didn't understand how at the end he was trying to really look at the jurors like he didn't do it, and in your heart that you did this. So I believed that my faith was strong in this whole situation, because you were wrong. You were wrong. And if those jurors had a heart, they knew he was wrong, because like we say, this could have been anybody's mother, grandmother, daughter, niece. This could have been a family member. And I just want to say, Black lives do matter. We matter. We are survivors.
Well, that's very disturbing to know there's monsters like this out here. Please forgive me for my voice. I just got over the cold, so it's raspy right now. That's just sickening, though. And do you for 1 minute think that there's just him? That's something to think about, because it's not just him. So it's police departments everywhere in the U.S., even in different countries and continents. This is how they operate. And in order for things to change, we have to find ways to separate and get our own. Us not having our own is killing us. We could see that. You can see that right now. We saw that. It's killing us. I don't mean a poverty-stricken community. I mean a community that thrives. We have everything that the cracker has. A lot of income, our own doctors, our own food markets, stuff like that. War is the only thing anybody respects, even our own people, because it's the only thing that people seems to get. You can't just respect the person simply. You can't. People with the same skin tones don't even respect each other. But as soon as you are threatened and you attack, everybody's aware. So everybody respects that. Everybody knows that this country was built on war. So we have to go to war. We're always going to be in war. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that people get. Just talking to them nicely, they don't get that. You talk to a Klansman like this, they're not going to get that, because their whole mind is wanting to lynch, wanting to fuck some nigger pussy, rape them, and hang us. War. And to do that, you have to stand up to the unjust, the oppressed. We're not equal. There's no such thing as a black American. If you think that, that's some other shit right there. I will leave you guys with this clip that I love so much of the monster crying. It's incredible. I love it. I wish a lot of these monsters can get this treatment, and I'm just glad that it happened with these sisters. it happened for these sisters, because a lot of this shit happened. A lot of sisters, I'm sure, is being policed in their neighborhoods by white cops, pimped out and shit. But nobody is saying anything. Nobody's doing anything because we're under their rules and under their guidelines. So we have to get our own shit. I'll probably come back with this topic again about us building our own in the Afro community. But God bless brothers and sisters. And my heart goes out to the families that had to endure this. Peace, love, and I want to watch this clip of this monster. God bless.
As follows. Defendant is guilty of the crime of sexual battery and set punishment at 8 years. Count 2, procuring lewd exhibition. Not guilty of the crime of procuring lewd exhibition. Count 3, burglary in the first degree. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of burglary in the first degree, nor lesser included. Count 4, procuring lewd exhibition. Defendant is guilty of the crime of procuring lewd exhibition, and punishment is set at 5 years. Count 5, procuring lewd exhibition. Defendant is guilty of the crime of procuring lewd exhibition, and punishment is set at 5 years. Count 6, defendant is not guilty of the crime of stalking. Count 7, defendant is not guilty of the crime of sexual battery. Count 8, defendant is guilty of the crime of forcible oral sodomy, and punishment is set at 20 years. Count 9, rape in the first degree. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of rape in the first degree. Count 10, forcible oral sodomy. Defendant is guilty of the crime of forcible oral sodomy, and punishment is set at 16 years. Count 11, rape in the first degree. Defendant is guilty of the crime of rape in the first degree, and punishment is set at 30 years. Count 12, forcible oral sodomy. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of forcible oral sodomy. Count 13, sexual battery. Defendant is guilty of the crime of sexual battery, and punishment is set at 8 years. Count 14, sexual battery. Defendant is guilty of the crime of sexual battery, and punishment is set at 8 years. Count 15, procuring lewd exhibition. Defendant is guilty of the crime of procuring lewd exhibition, and punishment is set at 5 years. Count 16, forcible oral sodomy. Defendant is guilty of the crime of forcible oral sodomy, and punishment is set at 16 years. Count 17, forcible oral sodomy. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of forcible oral sodomy. Count 18, procuring lewd exhibition. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of procuring lewd exhibition. Count 19, procuring lewd exhibition. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of procuring lewd exhibition. Count 20, rape in the first degree. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of rape in the first degree. Count 21, sexual battery. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of sexual battery. Count 22, sexual battery. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of sexual battery. Count 23, sexual battery. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of sexual battery. Count 24, forcible oral sodomy. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of forcible oral sodomy. Count 25, rape in the second degree by instrumentation. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of rape in the second degree. Count 26, indecent exposure. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of indecent exposure. Count 27, forcible oral sodomy. Defendant is guilty of the crime of forcible oral sodomy, and punishment is set at 16 years. Count 28, rape in the first degree. Defendant is guilty of the crime of rape in the first degree, and punishment is set at 30 years. Count 29, rape in the first degree. Defendant is guilty of the crime of rape in the first degree, and punishment is set at 30 years. Count 30, sexual battery. Defendant is guilty of the crime of sexual battery, and punishment is set at 8 years. Count 31, rape in the second degree by instrumentation. Defendant is guilty of the crime of rape in the second degree, and punishment is set at 12 years. Count 32, rape in the first degree. Defendant is guilty of the crime of rape in the first degree, and punishment is set at 30 years. Count 33, sexual battery. Defendant is guilty of the crime of sexual battery, and punishment is set at 8 years. Count 34, sexual battery. Defendant is guilty of the crime of sexual battery, and punishment is set at 8 years. Count 35, defendant procuring lewd exhibition. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of procuring lewd exhibition. Count 36, procuring lewd exhibition. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of procuring lewd exhibition. Let me ask the jury, is this your verdict, so say you all? Yes. Counsel, would you like to examine the verdict forms?
Not to say, no.
All right. Mr. Holtzclaw, if you and your attorneys just come forward. Mr. Holtzclaw, this jury finds you guilty of the various counts. You will be remanded to the custody of the Oklahoma County Sheriff for formal sentencing set January 21st, 2016 at 10 o'clock a.m.
Your Honor, I'd ask to hold the jury.
All right, you have a seat.